Well, here we are at Mount Panorama and getting set for improved production car racing, the major support category of the Liqui Bathurst 12-hour, and almost 50 cars have fronted up this weekend for what is on paper going to be a pretty exciting couple of races. Unfortunately for our pole sitter, things not going his way. Ray Hislop had problems at the end of qualifying. He got the quick time, but Lockie won't be out there for race one.
No, so that means another Tasmanian driver in Lee Forrest will have the front row of the grid all to himself for the Toyota Celica as we have a look at some highlights from the opening race of the weekend, and it was Lee Forrest in that Celica who will lead the field into turn number one.
Yeah, very quick off the line and very good through the turns and across the top of the mountain, but where he suffers the most is in the long straights here at Mount Panorama. You can see caught in a slipstream at the moment, and the Celica relegated back to second in the blink of an eye.
Matt Cherry in the V8 powered Monaro firing past up Mountain Straight. Marty Miller, one of the great characters in improved production and unfortunate retirement. The battle for the lead continued over the top with Matt Cherry coming under all sorts of pressure from the car at Forrest, which was very quick over the top of the mountain. A bit further back in the pack, Tony Orford in the Donut King Monaro making a charge through the field after starting for pit lane.
Yeah, picking up quite a few spots on the opening couple of laps. It still has plenty of work to do, but is capable of getting up there at least into the top 10. You'd have to think that car been performing exceptionally well, but problems for our race leader. Pulls off to the side of the track and will take no further part in the first race of the weekend.
Here's how it happened. As he came out of the final corner, Murray's Corner, the Monaro of Matt Cherry actually ran a bit wide and then slowed dramatically. He immediately knew something was wrong, and that was the end of his challenge. Meanwhile, a new challenger in V8 powered car started making his advances on the race lead. Anthony Loschalpo in the white HSV firing past Forrest up Mountain Straight.
They kept coming at Lee Forrest the entire time he was out there. You can see how much quicker he is through the turns, gets up alongside Loschalpo as they head up towards this very tight left-hander. But once he gets in front and stays in front across the top of the mountain, he's very strong, but has problems in that straight line.
But more serious problems for Damien Milano, who crashed at Griffin's Bend. The battle continued. Loschalpo down Conrod Straight, extremely strong, but blasted his way into the race lead once again.
That Commodore so fast in a straight line, but once again Forrest was not done. The Tasmanian just kept coming back and throwing the punches, and it was going to be a battle right down to the checkered flag.
Loschalpo managed to get his nose in front across the top of the mountain, and then it was a case of playing defence and trying to keep Forrest behind him. It came right down to the last corner. Forrest, the brave move under brakes, but in the end, in the drag race to the line, it was Loschalpo who had the power and held on to take victory.
But such a narrow margin, setting the stage for what should be a fascinating second race of the weekend. Cars coming down onto the grid. Let's watch this one. Forrest on the front row, the Loschalpo alongside. He's going to be so strong. If he can get that Commodore off the line quickly, it could be on for young and old. There is the grid. Warren Millett in third, Brown in fourth, Wade rounds out the top five.
And a mixture of V8s, turbocharged cars and rotaries inside the top 10, including the Mazda RX-8 of David Walden, and some very quick cars coming through from the back of the grid as well.
Anthony Loschalpo, you're on board with him at the moment, the Tempest air conditioning car, waiting for the start. There they go, doesn't get the start too. Forrest, the Tasmanian, off the line very quickly and should lead them down to turn one. But no, Loschalpo wants to battle that real estate.
And Brown in the Toyota Sprinter making a great start from the outside of the second row as this huge field of cars files through Hell Corner, and they don't make it all through cleanly. That is the Nissan Bluebird of Thagasa in the gravel trap at Hell Corner.
That's no way to treat a Bluebird. Those cars are still out there on the track running around. I used to own one when they were brand new. Never believed they actually became a race car. That's the most interesting thing, but unfortunately he is out of this one. And Millett having a few issues of his own as well.
The battle continues at the front though, while Loschalpo versus Forrest. What a move. Lee Forrest around the outside at the cutting. Can he hold on to the lead? Oh, not quite. Loschalpo was back up the inside. Awesome battle between two completely different types of cars. Yellow flags, safety car coming onto the circuit because of that car bogged in the gravel trap at Hell Corner.
How big the opposite lock from Loschalpo there through the left-hander. He was hugging the concrete wall, trying to give Forrest as much room as he could, and put his foot on the accelerator. The back of the car snapped out as we watch a replay at the start, and how this Nissan ended up in the paddock.
Oh, and he had a touch there with Richard Mork of V8 Supercar Privateer fame as they headed through Hell Corner, and I think it was the case there, Boydo, of 2 or 3 cars into one, just do not go.
Yeah, Richard Mork, not known as an aggressive driver, not known as an unfair driver, but he certainly gave the Nissan a helping hand to do a little bit of panel work to the front right-hand side of his car and put him out of this one due to being in the sand trap. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with race 2 here at Mount Panorama for the improved production car. Stay with us. We are improved production car racing as we get set for the restart here at Mount Panorama. There's major support category for the 2014 Bathurst 12-hour. Le Schlappo leads at the moment. Forrest in second spot. Then a gaggle of cars all battling out that final podium spot.
Justin Wade in the V8-powered BMW up against Warren Millis, who we know very well from the V8 Ute Series. And a look at Lee Forrest. He gets a great run up Mountain Straight. I wonder if Anthony Loschalpo missed a gear or something there, because you wouldn't normally expect the Celica to be able to go past him in a straight line as Loschalpo looks to fight back on the outside in the run-up to Griffin's Bend. But Forrest, with the ideal racing line, is going to capture the race lead. And
that's all he wanted to do. He didn't necessarily want to overtake, just protect that inside line into that right-hander, which would give him this advantage. And now all of a sudden, Schlappo coming under pressure for second spot. That will play perfectly into Forrest's hands.
Further back in the pack, there's Bob Brewer up behind one of the Mazda RX-7s, and the advantage here for Lee Forrest is that his car is going to be stronger across the top of the mountain compared to Anthony Loschalpo. So he's got his head down, trying to ease out a margin over that big V8 HSV.
Lee is such a quiet individual, such a nice guy to chat to. You'd never think there was so much aggression once he got behind the wheel of his car, but you could see he had the Celica totally crossed up coming across the top of the mountain this time.
And now Loschalpo has the Toyota Sprinter of Chris Brown, not the Singer, in his rearview mirror as they head across the top of the mountain.
Well, Brown trying to stick his nose in and get past Loschalpo, who's just given himself a little bit of breathing space now as they come down towards Conrod, down through Forest Elbow. They put the power down. This is where the Commodore's going to have the advantage over the cars around him. But will it be enough to get in front of the Celica by the end of the start-finish straight? Here's Matt Sherry on board within the Top Gear electrical and air conditioning sponsored machine. Gets a very good run onto the straight and has picked up 1 spot. It's going to pick up 2.
Well, we know that Monaro of Matt Cherry is extremely quick as he gives the thumbs up to one of his fellow rivals down Conrod Straight. Of course, Cherry coming through from the back of the field after problems in race 1 and already up inside the top 10. So it's been a storming drive through from the big Monaro so far.
I don't care what car you're on board with. Down through the chase is always a scary scenario. Now Brown throws it down the inside for second spot. Gets this position but runs wide into the dirt. The 86 car doesn't tag the wall. It came very, very close.
And some great evasive action and some awareness there from Anthony Loschalpo. Just braked a bit earlier into the corner, made sure that he got a good exit. And Brown's got more serious dramas there. Look at the smoke coming out of the front left.
Yeah, now that's unusual because it was the right side, if anything, that would have hit the wall. So I wonder if it was a mechanical issue that forced him off the track in the first place. And it's certainly forcing him off the track now. On the run up the mountain, he's pulling off to the side of the track, and the 86 car is out of this one.
So Chris Brown's day done. It looks like Scott Wilson back there as well in the Commodore retirement as we go on board with Andrew McMaster. And that car screaming up on the left-hand side there, that's Michael McGibb in the Datsun improved production car. Another driver starting from Nero at the back of the field, and he's making great progress through the field.
Yeah, it's this guy, as you say, with the Beers Are Us sponsorship would be loved here at Mount Panorama. Look at that for an overtaking manoeuvre.
Marty Miller, Mr. Sideways.
Well, you mentioned him being one of the characters of the sport. Well, he left nothing in the garage that time round. What was that, about 160 kilometres an hour under brakes, coming up into the right-hander and off onto the dirt. He's certainly brave.
Here's a replay of the move from Chris Brown down the inside of Anthony Loschalpo at Murray's Corner. Just a little bit too deep under brakes there for Brown.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was anything wrong with the left-hand side there, did it? So it must be as a result of going off the track. And here's Miller doing a little bit of rally driving.
Trying to round up Wayne Allway on the outside, and Thankfully, due to Miller's car control, he was able to gain that position and stay on the track as well, as Matt Cherry continues his climb up the order onto Conrod Straight. This is where the Monaro's been so quick all weekend.
And right around the circuit, in actual fact, it's been putting in scintillating times. Quick adjustment there of the car as he comes down Conrod Straight. Still plenty of work to do, but at least has a good chance of getting into the top 5, particularly at the rate that he's carving up the field out there at the moment.
Look at this diversity of cars. We've got a couple of BMWs, a Nissan Pulsar, and a Mazda RX-7 and a Subaru WRX all involved in this battle group as well. That just encapsulates, doesn't it, Grant, the great thing about improved production racing.
And as we've seen with our two front runners, Leschlapo and Forrest, because the cars are so different in their performance characteristics, you are stronger at one part of the circuit and weaker at another part, and that really does put it down to driver ability. Look at this. Would you believe a Celica leading a Commodore here at Mount Panorama? That gives you an idea of how competitive this class is.
Looks like there might be a bit of fluid on the circuit on the main straight as well, because the slippery surface flag was out. There's the 116 Datsun I was talking about before of Michael McGibb. Very rapid in a straight line, and he's making some good progress through the field at this stage.
Down towards turn 1 they go to start another lap. 94 car in front of this gaggle, but just one minor mistake, and you never know how far back you're going to end up. You won't be overtaken by one car. There'll be a dozen cars that go past. McMaster, you're on board with him at the moment as we climb the mountain. The Beers Are Us car making good progress.
And one of the BMW E30s, not actually a BMW E30 Challenge race car. This one runs a slightly larger capacity engine, but like all BMWs, it's a very nimble handling car. Maybe not quite as quick in a straight line as some of the bigger V8s, but certainly gains that advantage over the top of the mountain.
The Tasmanian leads them across the top of the mountain for another run. Toyota Celica, Lee Forrester, been racing in this category for many, many years and really sorted this car out well. Handles the track so well, and it's pretty quick in a straight line when you compare it to some of the cars that it's been doing battle with.
It's established a pretty comfortable margin now over the rest of the field. There's Anthony Leschlapo, still in second position, but hasn't been able to challenge for the lead as closely as he did in race number 1 when he took the win. How's Matt Cherry's progress going through the field? Looks like he's coming up behind the Commodore of Jason Wilson.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, isn't he? There's still plenty of work to do to find himself up there in the top 5 and up on the podium, but he's getting closer and closer each lap. This is a masterful performance from so far back in the field. He'll pick up another runner as he comes down Conrod Straight. This thing's like a rocket ship in a straight line. Look at this down through the chase. Love these onboards. Through the gears, hard under brakes. This is where you really test out the stopping power of your car.
And that was Warren Millett, who in fact he just made the move on. So that Monaro, unbelievably quick in a straight line, because he exited Forest Elbow about 100 metres or thereabouts behind Millett, who was able to pass him down Conrod. And maybe the smoke starting to come out of the back of that car of Warren Millett as well. Yeah,
it looks like that smoke's been coming out for the last couple of turns too, so I think Millett's in a bit of trouble in the wake-up backpackers machine. I don't think that he's going to get to the checkered flag here by the looks of things, because it's still continuing to pour out the back.
And now Matt Cherry's got what he needs, a clear track to try and hunt down our race-leading cars of Lee Forrest and also Anthony Leschlapo.
He's just flying at the moment, isn't he? Look at him cross the top of the hill as he continues this run up Mountain Straight. Now starts run through the right-hander. Still a long way to go to catch up to Forrest, but he's certainly pushing forward very, very hard. Still a great battle going on further back in the field too.
Brian Anderson in the BMW M3, the E46 car that he's also been racing in endurance races, up against Wayne Allway in one of the numerous Mazda RX-7s in the field. And Allway very quick up Mountain Straight. Brian Anderson, though, a very experienced driver, looks to the outside of Allway and is going to retake that position on the outside of Griffin's Bend. What a move from Brian Anderson.
Well, he's certainly brave, isn't he? They're still side by side as they continue this run up to the cutting. And once again, we take a look at Millett's car across the top of the mountain. That smoke getting worse.
Yep, so it's going to be a big job from him now just to try and get that car home to the checkered flag. It would be a great shame to see him drop out of the race, because he is in a top 3 position as we have another look at this fantastic overtaking manoeuvre. Brian Anderson moving right across to the outside of the circuit and managed to round up Allway going the long way round.
It always looked like he may have just broke a little bit early, erring on the side of caution. But unfortunately for him, the 25 car, quite happy to just go around the outside. Back on board with McMaster across the top of the mountain. He's got plenty of speed across here.
Again in the BMW, closing up on some of the big Commodores across the top of the mountain. One of the great parts of any racetrack in Australian motorsport, if not the world, is we see cars running 3 wide. That's one of the BMW E30s involved in a battle with the 147
Craig
Mazda.
Manuel. Yeah, having a big go too, being pushed out onto the grass as they went 3 wide on the climb up the mountain, but he was equal to the task and now picks up that spot.
So that's Glenn Potter in one of the Canberra-based BMW E30s, painted up in the Jägermeister livery from back in the World Touring Car Championship days. Been one of the great supporters of the BMW E30 categories. We've had another look at this 3-wide battle up Mountain Straight, and Manuel finding himself right out in the grass.
Yeah, I think he sort of snuck up on them. I didn't think they expected to see him there, but it all ended okay, so that's the important thing. There'll be a nice little yarn to tell at the end of this race.
More battles just outside the top 10. Wayne Twist in the BMW, battling with another one of the BMWs, and also Grant Maitland in his Nissan Silvia in that contest as well.
Got a good run out of that second last turn in the Nissan, didn't he? Hard under brakes down into the final turn, but has the outside. Can he make it count? Oh, 32 car runs wide and out into the sand trap. He sticks the boot in. Can he get it out? Looks like he might be able to, even though he's lost about 5 or 6 spots. Costly
mistake there for Philip Andros, one of the South Australian competitors. And yes, he drops a bundle of spots with that error. We've seen a number of cars go off there in this race. One of the traps, isn't it? If you go a bit too late under brakes into Murray's Corner, you can find yourself out high and wide in the grass.
Schlaupo under pressure at the moment in the 37 car as he comes across the top of the mountain.
So can you believe that that's Matt Cherry who's now behind Schlaupo? So after starting pretty much stone motherless last on the grid, Matt Cherry now up into the top 3 and challenging Schlaupo for 2nd position.
And you can see further down the road, that's where the Toyota Celica is of Lee Forrest. That's the target for Matt Cherry, and he's going to round up Schlaupo here. Down towards the chase they come, goes to the inside. Schlaupo can't fend him off, and Matt Cherry up into 2nd spot and now sets his sights on the race leader.
Well, Schlaupo, I think, might have got a bit balked up there by a laps car going down Conrod Straight and just didn't quite have the space to defend from the advances of Matt Cherry, as we see them having to start to negotiate their way past more laps traffic now because of the speed differential between the fastest and slowest cars. Look at Matt Cherry, gets the tail out of Murray's Corner. Here's another replay of the incident of Andros running it off down at Murray's. A lap or so ago.
Good job to keep it out of the sand trap too, it has to be said. And this is how Schlaupo was rounded up by Matt Cherry as he moved up into 2nd spot. There he is on the climb up the mountain. Time is, well, it's starting to tick away, but he's not without a hope, I don't think, of tracking down Forrest.
With the pace that he's got, there's the gap there. It's not all that much. Matt Cherry in with a very real shot of winning this race from the back of the grid.
And he's just, look, even if he doesn't win the race, he will win the most points for drifting. He has had this car sideways on so many occasions so far in this race. He obviously started the race with plenty of red mist, but he's made it count. Hasn't been overly aggressive on other competitors, but certainly has been on the car. And at the moment, he's just doing an amazing job. Look how he's just tinkering on the edge there, sliding it right out to the concrete wall. This is a masterful drive.
More laps traffic, he rounds up Brian Burke in another one of the BMW E30s, and also that'd be Adrian Taranto there in the Audi 80 Quattro. Good awareness from those slower cars to make sure that the race leaders had plenty of room to get through.
And it also has to be said, Lockie, that Matt's doing a great job because he's making his overtaking manoeuvres, even as they come down through the S's there, very, very easy to read. And he's saying to the drivers, the slower drivers in front of him, I'm coming through, this is where I'm going to go, get out of my way. And it makes it easy for them to read and oblige.
Onto Conrod Straight. Lee Forrest still out in front, but this is the part of the circuit where the V8 Monaro has the advantage. Conrod Straight, this is where Matt Cherry is going to make up an enormous amount of time on our race leader.
Look at this, tries to get in front of that lap car by the chase, does it? Not a great deal of margin for error, but it's only a couple of car lengths now. He just cooks it a little bit at the end of the chase, runs a bit wide, misses the apex, stays on the track, which is the most important thing, but he is desperate to win this race. Wouldn't it be just extraordinary if he was able to do it?
And it's a distinct possibility now. Not all that much time to go in this motor race. Final lap, in fact, so 1 lap to go for Matt Cherry to hunt down and pass the Toyota Celica of Lee Forrest, who's been in command all weekend.
Lee Forrest at the moment starts his run up the mountain again, and he'll just be thinking, these big boys keep coming at me. It's a David and Goliath battle. They just don't stop. Please, I've only got 3/4 of a lap to go. Stay away, Matt.
What Lee Forrest has to do here is push hard over the top of the mountain. That's where the Celica's going to have the advantage. If he can pull enough of a gap over that Monaro, heading across the top, that might be just enough for him to win the race, but Matt Cherry's going to throw absolutely everything at him.
Well, Schlaupo seems to have fallen off the pace too. Looking back to third, I just couldn't see him in that shot. He's fallen off quite quickly. Look at that, Forrest throwing the car around too. Cherry equal to the task. These two in a dogfight with half a lap to go here at Mount Panorama.
You can see the way that Celica is sliding around, and also the Monaro, that the drivers are both pretty much on their last legs as far as tyres go in what is the final lap of the last race of the weekend. So it's just a case now of who's got the most underneath them to be able to extract the absolute maximum performance from their race cars and hang on for the ultimate victory.
The smile on both of their faces at the end of this one will be extraordinary, particularly for Matt Cherry, who's done an extraordinary job from the back of the pack up into second. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to round up our race leader, Lee Forrest. The Tasmanian has come here a couple of times and has been very, very dominant. It looks like he's going to take a victory in the final race of the weekend, but this has to be the drive of the race.
No question about that at all, Grant. To start at the back of the grid and work your way up into second, especially in such a large field of cars, and especially at a circuit like Mount Panorama, that's a pretty impressive effort.
Well, only a couple more turns to negotiate. They can get cleanly through here. The checkered flag will be at the ready, and down through the chase they come. Lee Forrest leads the way. Matt Cherry won't get him here, bar a major mistake from this man who does not make too many mistakes. Came all the way up for the last couple of years, and he's going to take a victory in the final race. Well done to Lee Forrest down across the line to take the checkered flag and the victory in the second race of the weekend.
Commanding drive, and Lee Forrest, as you would expect, absolutely ecstatic. Any victory you get at Mount Panorama is special. Matt Cherry, great drive, finishes up in second position. Let's have a look at who's going to win the battle for third. Michael McGee is there at the moment, but runs a bit wide out of the last corner. Too wide, in fact, and Warren Millett manages to get his car across the line in position 3.
That's very fitting for Warren Millett, who had issues throughout the race to hang on to that final podium spot. A great job from him. There are the results of race number 2. It's been an extraordinary weekend with some great racing as well.
Well, I didn't think I'd get past Tony, especially when a safety car came out. And then I sort of got a good run, and I think he missed a gear going up Mountain Straight. So I thought I'll try and go as hard as I can over the top because they're going to haul me in on the straights. Then I saw the headlights of Cherry's car coming, and I thought, geez, how many laps to go? I'm thinking, I'm looking for the checkered flag. Surely it must be next lap. But yeah, no, that was so.
No, that was an interesting race for sure. There's 55 cars gridded up this weekend, and yeah, everyone played fair, and yeah, first time around the mountain, I just love it, so I was just laughing every lap up.
Yeah, the car went really well. Matty Holt did a good job on the car. It was a bit hot out there, got up to about 122 degrees, and the oil temperature was pretty hot as well, so I just had a short shift, so it lasted the whole race, but the car performed well.
They never failed to entertain, and he did have a big smile on his face. Lee Forrest taking victory in the second race of the weekend. The improved production cars continue to excite here at Mount Panorama. Lockie.
Great to see the improved production cars back at Mount Panorama. A lot of those drivers at that level don't get that many opportunities to race at the premier circuit in Australian motorsport. So great show, great racing overall.
Well, thank you very much for the pleasure of your company. We hope you've enjoyed the improved production cars here at Mount Panorama. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, some highlights of the offshore powerboats as they get set for round 1 at Newcastle next weekend. Stay with us.